Yo, what's going on, guys? Jared here. Today I am joined with Nick. You may know him from our ban list discussions that we do. And he actually just got first place at the Remote Duel Regional held by the side deck, I believe, and with a very, very unique deck that you probably haven't seen this format at all. Yeah, I'm gonna hand it off to him, and he can explain the this 60 card monstrosity that he played. It's definitely an interesting deck, and I feel like it's worth showing off. So feel free to take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jared. I'll have you guys follow me on a journey in this video and see if you can keep up with it. It's not even just a deck you haven't seen this for. You probably never seen it. It's a bit of a mess. I'll just get started on it. I played Dragunity at the regional. I went 7-0, first place. I guess we'll start with I don't know if this is the right thing to start with, but I played Adventure in it. It's a 60 card list. And a big reason why it's 60 cards because I value the adventure engine a lot. But the 3 bricks are a bit too much for a 40 card list to play that and hand traps and everything. You probably can't pull off a combo too well. This deck is very combo heavy. These cards performed very, very well today. They helped me basically put up like a riot shield against hand traps, help you break into boards as well. These cards are fine. They don't really conflict with the deck very much. Yeah, it's adventure, it's basic stuff.
Don't the combo with it too with the discards as well, right?
Yes,
Like the actual discarding.
sometimes actually discarding. You mean off of Fateful?
Yeah, use like faithful to discard certain pieces.
There are certain pieces that actually wouldn't mind being in the graveyard over the hand. Sometimes
Right.
Miss Valley Baby Rock is a really good example. That's played in
Zephyros.
this deck. Zephyros is a great card to discard and just bounce back a Draco back or a Faithful if you need to. There are a lot of you're going to have a lot of wonky hands if you ever play test a deck like this.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out how to make use of them. A lot of times the adventure, especially the Faithful, like you said, Jared, can put something in the graveyard that will like turn on the hand, whereas otherwise it would be a little iffy.
Yeah.
And you still have the interruption through adventure, so like it actually kind of works out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, absolutely on that. All right, for the main part of the deck, what is the combo starter? What do you need to pull off your big combo? The best starter in the deck is your Ramus, 3 Dragunity Ramus. This is the best card in the deck by far. But there are a lot of other cards that function as substitutes for it. The first one that I'd mention is Foolish Burial Goods. A lot of people know this through maybe Tier Lament. They send Rainbow Bridge and they searched, what was it? Aqua Turtle is the name of the card?
Yeah, the
Emerald Tortoise.
Crystal Beast
Yeah.
Turtle, yeah, Tortoise.
And, there are decks that have been futzing around with that. This deck works really well with that because it gives you an additional discard. So you add Dragon Ravine, and the card that you go for is Cobalt Eagle. So you run the Rainbow Bridge and the 1 Cobalt Eagle. The nice thing about Eagle is sometimes that if you brick with him and you have Foolish Burial Goods, you can actually normal summon the Eagle and put him back on top of your deck to turn the goods online. And so normally where that would be like a non-bow, it's actually a combo.
Oh, with its own effect, right? You stack
It's
itself to
yeah,
put it back in.
right,
That's
exactly.
cool. That's
That
really
does
cool.
conflict a little bit with adventure, so you have to keep that in mind. But
Yeah.
that
The
is an
option's
option
nice.
basically.
Yeah, it's a nice option to
Yeah,
have.
it's also a winged beast, so that comes up with certain synergies a lot. It helps you make Romulus easier. You can discard it with Tempest, which I'm also running. So those cards are pretty important. Other cards that function as starters, Gold Sarcophagus. Like I just said, I'm running Tempest. So Gold Sarcophagus for Tempest. If everyone remembers Dragon Rulers, that gets you to your Ramus. That's basically what you're going to be doing with that. You run 3 Dragon Ravine. 3 Ravine, I'd say, is necessary because you churn through this thing like it's nothing. It's also basically a combo starter. It just requires another discard because you're going to discard a card to first search for your Ramus, and then you have to discard another card to get the ball rolling.
Right.
So this is like a bit worse than these cards. And you run Terraforming for the same thing. And then cards that are part of the main combo line, Dragon Link players might be familiar with this. Your 1 Dragunity Glow, your Legatus, and your Mistleton. You kind of need those to pull off most of the Dragunity combo lines. So I thought I'd throw them right there.
So they're like mid combo type cards, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't absolutely have to play the Glow and the Mistleton, but if you don't, the deck's going to be very different.
Right.
The Legatus gets you to one of your main extra deck monsters just through having access to the Ramus. But yeah, they're not like starting points. They're just pieces in the combo.
Okay.
The next thing I ran was a Bystial engine. And a thing you're going to notice is there's a lot of one-ofs in this deck because you can access pretty much anything through the deck's Dragon Ravine or through things like Hieratic Seal or Hieratic Dragon King of Atum. You can reach almost any dragon in your deck. So I decided to run one of each Bystial, level 6, and the one Libellion, because you can actually churn through all this during the combo line. In fact, you do. You burn through all these guys and you get to your Branded Beast.
Wow.
And I ran the one Regained just because it's there if you happen to draw the Beast. Sometimes it's nice with Chaos Base, which I run, or with the Bystials. It's a nice card. It's a little bit of a win more card, though. So I'll say that oftentimes I'll side this out going first because it on its own doesn't really help me combo.
Yeah.
And I'll very often side it out going second because I'd rather, if I manage to break a board, end on a Branded Beast off the Libellion to help disrupt them on their turn 3 than end on this because it's not an interrupt.
Yeah.
So that's the Bystial engine.
I know it's really good in the grind game, but it depends how often that gets to that point.
Yes, the problem in Yu-Gi-Oh, as we all know, is that the game ends in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So you would love for this to be a lot better because it is an insane card in the grind game, like you said, but very, very often like just doesn't do enough. So I sided out a lot. Other engines that I run, I'm running 3 black metal and 1 red MD, and then 3 chaos space and the black and white dragon. Now, why these? These cards are 1-card Romuluses, and that's pretty important because it allows your Ramus start to go into a Crystal Wing on 5 summons to play around Nibiru, and just in general to force hand traps out early.
Yeah.
If they don't hand trap you by then, they're very often not going to be able to do it anymore unless it's like an imperm or it's like imperm plus nib. The reason that these guys allow you to do that is because they make Romulos on their own, whereas normally the Gatorg would have to make the Romulos for you via like Zephyros or something. But these guys do that, and they also don't activate on normal summon, so they don't conflict with Adventure.
Yeah.
You can also do some nice stuff with like Chaos Space, discard to search Libellion if you needed to, because he's a valid target. That's right, basically it on these guys.
I always forget about that you can do that.
It is an available play, and I do it very often.
I swear, I need to do like a whole combo video with this fucking deck because there's so many options.
There's a lot going on, and a lot of this stuff is not. I would definitely not say it's mandatory. Like you could run. I'm in a Discord with a couple Dragunity players, quite a few actually, and a lot of them don't run any of this stuff.
Yeah.
They elect to run other things. They elect to not run Adventure. I personally like this because the black and white are also accessible during the combo line, and they provide you more link material.
Yeah, it's free bodies. They're so free.
Yeah, it's just free stuff off of Seifert, which is also part of the combo line. So if you're running these, like I feel like just running Chaos Space makes you have more starters or like extenders. It just seems nice to me. And black metal has been like a favorite of mine for a while.
Yeah.
The rest of the engine, okay, so I just said Seifert. This is also a 1-card Romulus actually on its own. We know that. That gets you to black or white, and then you just go into Romulus. It's also part of the combo line. It retrieves your Libellion from the graveyard. It's a bit confusing to explain. I wouldn't do it right now.
As I say, I need like a whole video to go through the plays in this deck with you, obviously. Like, I don't know the fucking plays in this deck. You would have to go through them all and explain them all because this deck is so. I mean, you've been playing this deck for so long, and the complexities behind it are way too advanced for me. I would need to sit down with you for hours to figure out everything with it.
It's definitely not that intuitive. If you see something like Safer, like I don't understand why you're running that in a Dragunity deck. Why aren't you running Ducks? Why aren't you running Senatus? You know, there's a reason why I'm running certain cards.
Right.
And yeah, you're right. You're exactly right, Jared. It would be hard to explain. It'd be hard to explain on the fly without showing a combo line.
Yeah.
And having people
it's
actually
just certain lines, it will come up where you'll notice it. Yeah.
Yeah. This one is pretty integral to the main line. It gets you a lot. So I would run one of it. I wouldn't run more than one. I was running like 2 or 3 before, but it conflicts a little bit too much with Adventure because then you open this too much, and then like it's not really a combo starter. It's just one dragon on the field.
Yeah. And
you need more than that. So just one for the combo. If you draw it, sometimes it's a combo on its own. I'm running this guy, Dragunity Disarme. It's the newest Dragunity they came out with. He's on normal summon. He brings back a wind monster from your grave, a low level one. This is a 1-card Romulus. And the unique thing about this one, as compared to Black Metal or Chaos Space, is it can be searched with Ravine. And I don't
Oh
know if you
yeah.
saw how many copies of basically Ravine, like Foolish Burial Goods, Terraforming, etc. I run. You're going to have very often extra copies of Ravine in the combo. And so if you haven't used the Adventure Engine, you can go into your Crystal Wing and then search this off of the Ravine, normal summon it, and that gives you 2 materials to make your amulets. So it's just there. It's available to you. The reason why you play this over Dux is because Dux has to target a dragon in the grave to bring it back and summon it. But I don't know if you noticed, we're not running Phalanx or Koos.
Right.
So those guys aren't really available. I think they're a little weak, in my opinion. And so I'm not running Dux for that reason. Enough on that guy. There's 4. These are 4 specific guys that I run as Dragunity Knight Guider discard targets. That's mainly what they're there for. Sometimes you can, well, 3 of these are Winged Beasts, so you can't send them with Dragon Ravine. 1 of them is a dragon, but they're all low level, and they're actually very relevant. Like Steam and Zephyros pair into a level 7 Synchro, which we'll get to later.
So that's Steam,
And
Zephyros, Miss Valley Rock, Baby Rock, and Samsara Dragon, right?
Samsara Dragon, yes, that's
Yeah.
probably the weirdest one
Just in
that's on
case,
here.
because you can't see the name of it from the video, so I just want to make sure that
Oh,
I'm
right.
not saying the name
Gotcha.
out
In
loud.
case anybody hasn't
No, they
understood
do.
what the heck some of these
Yeah, feel
cards
free
are.
to
Yeah,
look
this is
them up.
Samsara Dragon. Look this guy up. He's you can banish him from your grave to add high level dragons back to your hand from your grave, but then you can normal summon them.
Yeah.
And the reason why that's nice is because you can normal summon them over a Hieratic Seal, the Heavenly Spheres, which basically functions as a legal LP. Where normally you wouldn't be able to do that. This deck
That's
is like
cool.
LP the deck. LP's not banned in this deck. The rumors are not true of his death. We LP all the time. Yeah. So this card, discarding off of Gator, gets you back your level 6 Mistleton usually. You tribute that over a seal, and that gets you out another level 6. It'll
Oh,
be a
that's cool.
Bystial usually.
Yeah, that's
And
fucking
then you
cool.
can make a Tum and then summon out Seyfried off of that. And then you can kind of see where that would go. Like now you have like a Saronir sending Lebellion to the grave off of the Atum detach. I'm getting too far into the weeds, but
Yeah, it's so
there's a
much.
reason we
It's
run this.
so much so
Yeah.
fast.
The Baby Rock is to make your Crystal Wing or your Savage. You're going to make Crystal Wing on 5. You're going to add and discard this Baby Rock.
Right.
This is to make your level 7s. That's mainly what this is here for. Zephyros is also your safest route to like a one card play with Ramus. If you have nothing else than just Ramus, you can add and discard the Zephyros, bounce back the Ravine, and then make Romulus that way. With the Zephyros plus the level 6 Synchro, which we'll get to when we get to the extra deck. Okay. This is going through a lot right here.
A lot of cards, man. You play 60.
A lot of cards. This is a 60 card deck, in case anyone was wondering. I always said that before. High level dragons that I run. These, I think Tempest is necessary if you're going to play Gold Sark. You don't have to play Gold Sark. I think it's important. I like Armagram. He's kind of like a big Dragon Ore with a bunch of good effects on him, and he has a high attack stat, so decent in the grind game. He's also another glow target. The spell that searches at the level 6 Mistleton. Yeah. You can search this instead if you already have Mistleton. That said, I've seen people not run this, and sometimes I side them out. And Destrudo is a very accessible, flexible dragon. You can just send off a Ravine. Dragon-like players, Sword Soul, everybody knows this card. It was banned for a while. There's a lot you can do with this guy in the deck. Today, actually, I'd say that he performed the least. I was actually a little surprised at how few his play lines came up. I know. Destrudo, it's like, come on, it's free. It's right there.
I was going to question why you're playing
Destrudo,
3, to be honest.
Why am I not playing 3, right? That's actually a good point.
That.
Like, this is maybe a very good 3 of in that point, because you can just discard it off Ravine. It's there. The lines that come up with him is usually when you open just Black Metal or just Chaos Space and no way to Ramus first. Then he comes up. But I didn't open that a lot today. That said, I do very often open it when I play. So I think it's still worth including. And the last 2 cards that are part of the combo are Kyoto Waterfront and Gamma Seal. This is probably a little weird, but there's a rhyme and reason. See if people can catch on to why I'm running these 2. You're going to search Kyoto Waterfront, and then you're going to be able to summon Gamma Seal. I'll get to those when I get to the extra deck.
I feel like everyone
knows Gamma Seal's effect.
Yeah, I was going to say people forget about Gamma Seal's other effect.
At the event, most people did not know his effect, and if they did know, they only knew like some small portion of it. He's a not once per turn, not once per chain effect to remove 2 counters from your waterfront and just negate a card and banish it.
Yeah.
And the waterfront gets counters every time a card goes to the graveyard from the field. So it starts building up. Your opponent plays like a Pot of Prosperity or whatever, Pot of Desires or an Allure of Darkness. You can let it resolve and he just gets a counter. You tribute your seal, this gets a counter. Tribute a guy for Brand of Beast, it gets a counter. It's over. If this stuff gets on the board, I have not dropped a game with this on the board.
Yeah, it's
Hasn't
too
happened.
late. And they
Yeah,
can't even
it's over.
kaiju over it.
They can't Kaiju over this. You already have one. Sorry, no more than one. That's one.
It's one of the strongest negates in the game, if I'm being honest. I really.
It's
Like,
insane.
the
Yeah.
Gamma Seal's a crazy card.
You have to have something like Dark Ruler evenly or something like
Yeah,
that to
something to
contest
have
the board. Okay, and then the last cards, I haven't shown any real hand traps aside from the Bystials, but aside from them, I'm running 3 Ash and then 3 Gamma and a Driver. Just decent hand traps, nothing much to say here. These are good against a lot of decks.
So you're playing like a low hand trap count, I guess.
Very low hand trap count. We're just trying to crack boards if we go second most of the time. This is 60 on top of the fact that we only
Did you
have
crack? Would you say that you cracked like boards today?
a couple times. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was consistent enough to say you could do it for sure.
Yeah.
But and that's something I actually wanted to bring up. I was even a little iffy on playing this deck today. I don't know if I really like the position of this deck in the format currently. I really like the deck, and I have liked it several times in past formats. I think that the Kastira matchup, ironically, I played 3 of them. I did well, but I think that matchup is a little tough when they successfully make the Arise Heart, something like that, without sideboard. It's very hard to win in game 1.
Right.
So, yeah. Something I would like to change it with maybe the ban list or new cards coming out to have this deck improve its positioning.
Yeah.
All right. So that took like 2 hours to explain the main deck.
No, that's fine. You're good.
It's kind of necessary, a little bit of it.
No, it's fine. 60 cards. I don't care. No matter to me.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the extra deck. I'm running 1 Dragunity Knight Guider. This is very important for the deck. If you know Dragunity, this card's pretty central. Once per turn, he adds a low-level dragon or winged beast from your deck to your hand, and then you discard any dragon or winged beast. So I showed those 4 guys before. Those are your main discard targets off of this. They get you to a bunch of different routes, depending on what your hand is and what you want to break open, what you want to end on, what you want to play around, things like that. This effect is important to note is not a hard once per turn. So every time this guy is on the field as a new copy, you can activate him again.
How many times you use him in a turn? Like
combo,
4, 3?
Usually 3 times.
3 times.
You could do 4. That's like the cap.
Yeah.
But usually it's 3 times. So you when you're comboing, you know that you have 3 discards off of this. So you can start counting. Like, oh, I'll use this one for this. Then the second one will be this.
Gotcha.
And the third one will be that. You got to start thinking about those. Second card, Ancient Fairy Dragon. And I'll put the Shooting Riser as the other 7. This is probably the least important card in the deck, I'll say. But Ancient Fairy Dragon, very, very important to searching the Kyoto waterfront. And gaining 1,000 life and time is very nice. Never diss that. Very valuable. And I was saying before, yeah, it's definitely a thing. This is why you run the Steam the Cloak paired with the Zephyros, because this makes Ancient Fairy very easily. Destrudo can also make it with really any monster, right? And the Gasarman can also make it paired with a guy in the graveyard. Can make the Ancient Fairy. So a lot of access to 7s as well as 6s.
Do you think it was a mistake unbanning that card?
No.
I know it's a rotted, but would you say it's still ban worthy?
Well, it hasn't really changed functionally, I would say. I feel like it's pretty much the same card.
What is it? It's just hard once per turn now? That's it?
It's a hard once on both effects, and then you can't search the same field spell that you destroyed. So it is a little bit worse, but I think it's still very good. Yeah. That said, it hasn't really seen any play competitively, I don't think yet, has it?
There might have been a few decks that I've seen, but in experimental stages, not super competitive.
Not something that you see on the competitive scene commonly. Yeah. I think that it may see competitive play soon. We'll see. I don't think it rises to the level of, say, Fairy Tale Snow.
Yeah.
Where that card got unbanned and then was just played until it got banned again. I don't know if it's going to be up to that level, but I don't know. I hope not, because then I lose that card, and that's no fun. The 2 level 8s I run are Crystal Wing and Savage. I already explained. Crystal Wing is for playing around Nib usually. The nice thing about him is he doesn't require a link in the graveyard to get a negate, where Savage does. So Savage generally comes up later.
Right.
That's pretty much it on these guys. Your 8s. I'm running 2 Heraldic Dragon King of Atum because you go through 2 in the regular Ramus line. It's not once per turn, just like Gator, so you get to summon 2 dragons out of your deck with this.
It's one of my
Pretty
favorite
crazy.
dragon monsters, like
This
ever.
is an insane card. Did you know that there's only 3 Dragon XYZs currently in the TCG that are rank 6? I was kind of disgusted by that. Like, there has to be another one I can run. No, there's not really. Konami got to do better. There's an Evilzar coming out in July, I think.
Yes,
That's,
yes, there's one
Dragon.
more.
Yeah, so that's cool. Link 1s, I run Striker and Pisty. Pisty comes up with certain play lines where you have to start with Romulus, and then you can make the Pisty and then turn things into Triple Burst. That's mostly when Pisty comes up. Striker comes up to turn your white or your black metal dragon into something and then make Romulus after. I think those are both pretty necessary. I'd say Striker over Pisty more often though. Or rather, I guess you would just run Pisty in that case, since you could just do that instead of Striker. So Pisty in that case over Striker. I changed my mind. 1 Romulus, he's very core to the deck. He's about as important as the level 6. Searches Dragon Ravine or searches the Dragunity Glow spell card in the main deck, which is part of the combo. 2 Seal, you go through 2 in the main combo. It's a good grind card. And this is really an amazing card. It does so much that decks can't deal with. There's another thing that this is not that great against Kashtira. If they don't open the field spell, you don't really have a great target for it.
Right.
Because you bounce their guy, you just summon it again. So positioning wise in the meta, this is not the greatest card right now, but it helps you play around certain things like evenly. Whereas, they just wrath your entire board. You can sack this in response to the evenly and then bounce a card back to save it, and then save some other card on the field, and then the seal will bring out like a Druis Worm to sack the Branded Beast if that's a card you saved, and you still have interrupts through evenly.
Yeah, you see a double pop still.
Yeah, and that even works through Dark Ruler often. And then the last cards I'm running Triple Burst, Floral Sword. The sword didn't actually come up today, but it's very good. I wouldn't cut it. Triple Burst comes up with certain play lines where you start black metal and things like that. Like I was saying before, in the last card, the most important card is Saryuja. You do this in the main combo to draw a bunch of cards, and it gets you to the free summon for Gamma Seal. So you're going to search the Gamma Seal off of Waterfront and then summon it off of Saryuja, and then there's your Gamma Seal.
And it's a dragon.
And it's a dragon, yes.
For some
so
reason.
You can then turn that into Seal, because for some reason it's a dragon. Amazing card. All right.
Now, I know obviously this
ahead.
is like a very combo-y deck. Did you ever get like Diabolos or like Unicorn and get like your extra deck ripped? I feel like that's a good general question. That's kind of relevant.
I did get Unicorned against a guy, but I was in a position where I think maybe I had gone first, or the Unicorn ripped a card out. In fact, I think it ripped out Sword. And so like it hurt a little bit, but I had a board state that I thought I could beat him even without Sword.
Yeah.
There was another Kashtira player where they Diablosis me on turn 1, game 1, and I just conceded on the spot. I'm like, I'm not going to show them what I'm playing.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a big advantage of a weird deck like this, is that they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, they're going to side for something completely different, more than likely.
So
I
yes,
would say that that's another big advantage of playing a deck like this, where a lot of the times people don't know how to interact with your cards properly, where to actually find the choke points for, hand traps, stuff like that. Maybe misplay going into your board, like how to break it, maybe anything like that. They don't know.
No, you're exactly right.
Because the same thing happened to me with Naturia in the early days before it got like super popularized recently. Like a lot of people didn't know how the interactions work properly, and they kind of sometimes they just played into themselves.
Those are very interesting interactions from Naturia. Yeah. A lot of not once per turn effects.
I could only assume that it would happen something similar when people don't know, like cards like Ramus. Maybe it's been a while since Gator was played, or things like that.
Yeah, the amount of times people will at an event ask me if this is a hard once per turn, it's like almost every round. And it's like I'm not that's not making fun of people. I think that they're very good players. I'm not denying that. It's just like this is such an obscure deck that somebody who like maybe even has played it in the past, they're like, I don't remember what that card does
Because
exactly.
back then you couldn't really
You
make
know,
two in one turn. It's just
right?
how
You
the
do it
deck
like one
developed.
time, and that's basically it.
Yeah, it was just ducks into Gadir
Yeah.
into maybe like some other play, but now
Right,
it's
and like if that's your knowledge of Dragunity, say from like 10 years ago, then you have no idea what this is doing
yeah,
because
that's what I'm
it's
saying. It's a
not, yeah,
completely different
like
deck.
this is some other thing that's going on, you know, and so they might be operating with bad information, which is,
Mhm,
yeah, absolutely a strength.
mhm.
Side deck, I had 3 Bystials in for branded. I played a branded round 1, and these did not come up. It didn't matter. I ran it for going second. It's 2 Magnemite and Druis. Um, they're okay. I mean, they help you synergize with your deck in case you draw them.
Mhm.
The dragons. Um, Running 3 Lava Golem. You actually put me on this. You convinced
Me,
me on Lava Golem.
me,
Yes, you
I haven't
did.
played Lava Golem in a while.
It was like a couple months ago. You put me on Lava Golem, and I've tried it out, and I've liked it ever since. I'm like, wow, this is an amazing card. This is crazy. This thing. So you might be thinking like, well, how do you do that without your normal summon? You just got to cut. You just cut black metal out. That's oftentimes the side. It's like 3 for 3 right there.
Oh
And
yeah,
then maybe you also cut like Disarme out because if you draw this, he's not going to come up.
right.
So definitely things you have to consider about that. There's certain cards that you can't activate, certain cards you can't search for if you're going to do Lava Golem, and you're kind of hedging your bets on if you're going to draw this or not.
Right.
This is 60, so siding is a little tougher, admittedly. So
Mhm.
you're not always going to see the card that you side in.
Yeah.
Um, but this card's amazing. Like it synergizes very well with Draco back too. You can just bounce it back and then just stack it
Did
again.
you
It
like the
even
double
synergizes with
tribute, or like
steel.
do you think like a single tribute monster could have like maybe like replaced it? Something like Santa Claus. I know that's seeing a lot of play recently.
I've seen that Santa Claus is a very popular choice right now. I've even thought about more kaijus,
Uh,
but I don't know on more kaijus. I think that that might be the way to go in the future, especially with Pearly
yeah.
coming out. And especially since the Kashtira very often tries to end on the 1 Arise if they're afraid. That's
Mhm.
not what my opponents did. But unfortunately, I generally didn't see the Lava Golem to punish them for that. They would end on Shangri plus Arise or whatever, Shangri, Fenrir, Arise.
Yeah, a lot of them Shangri,
Um,
Fenrir, Diabolos, Arise, I think. I think it's like something like that.
Yeah, so it's available. The Lava Golem's available to break into the board. Again, 60 cards. You're not always going to draw it. Pros and cons, but it's a good card. I really like Lava Golem. I think
Right.
that maybe Santa Claus is better. I think they're about the same. Like they have
Well,
pros
I
and
would say
cons too.
if you ever used it today, like would a single tribute be the same as the double tribute? Did you ever miss your normal summon with it? Stuff like that. Like
Um,
just
it
from your
didn't
experience
really.
with it.
I don't think I ever resolved this. I want to say that the boards where I could have when I sided it in, and if I had seen it, I think it would have been good.
Mhm.
Let's say that. So I had a hand where we got deck checked though. I had a hand where I had this plus like Gamma plus like Ramus or something like that. I'm like, oh,
You got deck
we're
checked?
in. And then we got deck checked. I was like, yeah. But
No.
it turned out okay. I won that game anyway. But
Nice.
he was ready. The Lava Golem was smiling, ready to go, and then got shoved away into the deck.
That's
But
funny. That's the worst feeling though with deck checks.
I was hyped. So was my opponent. He said his hand was really good too. So I um I wish we could have compared hands after.
Yeah.
I'm running 3 talents. This is a card I try to side in against Kashtira, just because it's pretty decent at stealing the Arise. You just like play some incidental card like Terraforming, the Arise triggers, and then you just take the Arise away.
Mhm.
That takes that out of the question. Also really good going first. And I'm running Call by as well for that. I decided on last minute I went on Thrust and Duster for other spells and 3 evenly. Evenly for back row decks like Trap Tricks. I feel like it's just a little bit too necessary right now.
Yeah.
I would even maybe just main this. I know that this is a big thing to main right now,
Yeah.
and you can just discard it to Ravine if you happen to open it.
I know at the 250th
Um,
meeting it was very popular. That was almost everywhere. I feel like most people were actually doing that.
it's very popular at my local scene too to just main this card,
Mhm.
main droll things like really high impact cards
Yup.
that you're just hoping to stuff
High
people with.
impact. Because every deck is just playing through single interruptions, so you need these ridiculous cards to be able to stop them.
Right, right. It's like almost a problem with the game in general right now. This deck eats single interruptions for breakfast. Like if you have 1 Ash, I'm probably gonna play through it. If you
Yeah.
have like Ash and like Imperm, I might even play through that.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that's the lineup on side. Uh, I guess, is there any other questions that you would have?
I mean, you said you played against three Kashtira, 7 rounds, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I guess all those went well. Like, do you remember any of your other matchups?
I think this was round one was branded. Um, round two was Kashtira. I played Mekanko round three. That was the deck check actually, and he didn't put up much of a fight, unfortunately. I think he didn't have good enough hands.
Mm-hmm.
Round four was Kashtira again. Yeah, Kashtira again. Or no, it was Drytron. Drytron was round four.
Oh, that's like
Um,
scary.
that is a scary deck, and sometimes it's hard to tell like what they're going to be going for
Mm-hmm.
with their combo. I thought he was going for Vanity's Ruler, which would have been bad, but he went for the Chaos Max instead. I couldn't beat
Gotcha.
him in that game. But yeah, that is is a tough matchup. The thing is, though, in a lot of decks, like
Bystials.
the hand trap count is a little low. Oh, Bystials are great against them. It didn't come up against him really. Aside from, I mean, I have them in my hand when I finish my combo. I usually have one or two in my hand, depending.
Mm-hmm.
But he just like couldn't play through my board to begin with,
Yeah, yeah.
so they didn't even come up. But yeah, those are really good if you're going second. You draw them. Um, then it was Kashtira twice after that, and then the last round was Sword Soul actually.
Oh, okay.
And I put up a board, he couldn't break it, and then he didn't draw very well in the second game. And I just like he had like one imperm or something to try and stop me from killing him, and I killed him.
You just killed through it.
That was yeah. It's sometimes people just draw bad hands.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that stunk. That was the last round. I was like, I want a little bit more of a
So,
fight, but that's
yeah,
how it
for
was.
anyone who is curious about playing this deck, what is not do the full combo, but what obviously one Ramus is like a full combo in this deck.
Right.
What is the end board of one Ramus? Just so that
Okay.
I like doing it like almost like a little puzzle in a way, where it's just like if you
You're
draw
like, how do
Ramus,
you
this
can
is
get
what
to
you can
this?
end on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
It,
people are curious, like always feel free for the comments of asking. It's always an interesting topic. I like it a lot. Figuring out combos is very fun for me.
yeah. So if you end on if you have just one Ramus, you're probably going to end on something like
I could just like Gamma Seal plus plus waterfall.
it's
That's
like
it.
well, that's sometimes enough, but
Went through 20 cards and I landed. I know on a kaiju. I kaiju'd myself and with a field spell.
and you're probably going to have this on the field too. So your board state's probably going to look something like this,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have some number of cards in your hand in addition to a Bystial. I usually go for Baldrake because it has a high attack, and the
Relevant effect.
Bystial I go off of, yeah, has a relevant effect on top of just being an interrupt. And the seal goes into Druisworm, so I can put the Druisworm next to the Baldrake and like sack it, banish a card, send a guy,
Yeah.
stack it to beast. There's like a lot of flexibility there. So that's usually the end board if you're doing just Ramus.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have a Savage negate. You're gonna have Gamma Seal negating forever. I call it like the forever negate.
Yeah. Is there like a number of counters that you usually end on for the Gamma Seal? Is like
So this caps at 5 and
Oh,
it ends
okay.
on 5. I have 5 by the end
Gotcha.
of the combo.
All right.
So I have at least 2 negates with this, probably more because I can sack. I actually did a little couple tricks to a guy
Almost like
where
4. You can get to like four more counters. I mean.
you can get to at least another one right here because
Yeah.
Seal plus the Bystial is one more. And if
You
they
do.
ever resolve cards,
Mhm.
they give you more counters because their cards resolving also.
Ball Drake tributes.
give you counters.
That's a full another one
That's
too. If it's
that's
5.
another one. Yep,
Yeah.
that's 5.
Yeah. So like 5 cards against a 6 card hand plus the Savage. You already have 6 cards that you're
Yeah,
negating.
if they're at 6, I'm negating 1, 2, probably 3,
Yeah.
4, bounce, pop, banish, send off a druid. Like it's
Yeah.
over.
Actually, looking at it, you would probably assume that the board's going to look crazy, but you have to understand that Gamma Seal being like 4 generic negates by itself is the most obnoxious thing in like the world.
Very, very obnoxious. A
Fact
lot
that
of
you can
people,
do
like I said, like they would just like they would start playing their cards. I had a guy like chain Book of Moon to this, and to try to like to set it and just get rid of it. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna respond with it again to the book, and I dropped down to 1, and he's like, okay, that sucks, but like I guess now it's at 1 counter, I can actually resolve a card. I was like, hold on, I'm like before the Book of Moon resolves, I'm gonna sack my Rebellion. I'm just gonna pop your Book of Moon, so I'm gonna actually get 2 more counters to my Waterfront. So I'm gonna have
Oh
another
yeah.
negate. That's disgusting, you know. So I felt pretty good about that.
That's so
But
gross. Oh
yeah.
my god.
Sorry if you're watching it. I didn't.
No,
I
it's good.
felt
Like
pretty
it's
satisfied about it. It's pretty cool.
no, yeah,
But
it's a cool thing. No, you don't. It's something you don't see a lot in modern Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Is like
yeah,
these other interruptions that have come out over the years, and you get to see them be implemented again. Is nice.
the only other thing I would say is that if you don't open Ramus, and like I was saying, if you open just say black metal,
Mhm.
what does the end board look like for that? It honestly just looks like this. So you just like minus the Gamma Seal, and this looks a lot less threatening.
Yeah,
But if your board isn't Ramus, a lot of times people just kind of throw their hands up in Dragunity if they don't have Ravine. It's like, well, how do you combo? Well, you can
yeah.
still end on this with just Chaos Space into like Romulus
I
or
mean, even
some way to
that
Romulus.
is still like. I'm not even
One,
gonna count
two,
the
three,
Baldrake.
four.
If you count the Baldrake as an interruption, it's like at least 4 or 5. Then
Depends
they,
on what they're playing. If they're
yeah.
playing graveyard based stuff,
Then the
you
Baldrake can
know,
count like sometimes multiples, but yeah, like that's still not even bad against a lot of stuff. Like that's still fine.
that could get you to another turn. You're going to have Ravine on the field in this
Yeah,
case
especially in
for
that too.
follow up.
Like the fact that you
So,
get another turn too is
and then you
huge.
get Seal could bring you out like another guy or something.
Hmm.
This play doesn't always go through red MD. Like if you don't do black metal, but you do chaos space first,
Yeah.
you'll have Seal for like black metal, and then you can link black metal off and do a red MD, bring back your guys, and then just start going off from there. So there's like a lot of things you can grab. There's a lot of choices you have to make when you're stacking Seals. Like what am I getting for
Yeah.
next turn? You know. But yeah,
Well,
that's
that
it.
was man.
I don't even know how long we were in on that one.
We're at like 36, but
36.
congratulations, first
Yeah,
and
thank you,
foremost.
thank you.
And do you have any shout outs for the deck that that you've been playing for over I think a literal decade at this point, or pretty fucking close.
Yeah, if you want to go all the way back,
I
I've been
actually think
playing
a
it for over
decade this year. Yeah, a decade this year.
Yes. Yeah, actually. That's pretty funny. So shout outs, I guess I'd say shout out to you and Vince for, listening to me ramble about this nonsense. Um, and shout out to the Dragunity Discord, Dragon Ravine, for just, let me bounce ideas off of them and see what they're playing. Shout out to, I'll even give a shout out to Phoenix Flare. He was a big Dragunity guy on YouTube that a couple of years back I would, follow and get kind of like deck advice from him. So yeah, and shout out to my local Nova Games in Bricktown, New Jersey. They're really competitive players over there, and they give me a run for my money all the time, so they keep me sharp.
Awesome, great to hear. Yeah. So once again, congratulations. And are you going to the 250th YCS?
I think I
Or
might.
sorry, not 250th,
go
the
ahead.
Philadelphia. Sorry, Philadelphia
Yes,
YCS.
yeah,
Oh
well,
my
the
god.
250th. Yeah,
That
that's
already
right.
passed.
That's right.
Oh my god, dude.
There's so many of them. I
Dude,
think
it's
I'm
like-
gonna go. I think I'm gonna be there.
Like I said, I'm like 5 beers in. I'm fucking
Well,
sloshed.
you managed pretty well, I gotta say for that.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Congratulations again, and I'll talk to you later. Later.